The standoff continues at Wounded Knee, South Dakota. 200 Indians still occupy that small community, and federal marshals still surround them.
It's been more than a week now since the Indians took over Wounded Knee. They still say they're not going to give it up until their demands are met. It doesn't look like that's going to happen now, and the Justice Department has given them an ultimatum.
For their own safety, I'm asking them to leave now, or at least to send out their women and children.
The Indians went through the tribal ritual of preparing themselves for battle. American Indian movement leaders said the purpose of the takeover was to dramatize injustices to Indian people throughout the United States and to bring attention to poor living conditions on the Pine Ridge Reservation.
Prior to the 17th century, the Sioux lived in what is now Minnesota. The Santee forced them into North and South Dakota, their lifestyle turning from agricultural to nomadic. By the mid-1800s, Lakota Sioux territory encompassed what is now Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, Colorado, and Nebraska. In 1851, the Treaty of Fort Laramie assigned the Sioux to a reservation. As a result of the treaty violations by the United States and increasing hardship on the reservation, the Dakota War began between the Sioux and the United States Army. The war ended with the hanging of 38 Santee by the Army. This remains the largest mass execution by the U.S. government in American history. In 1868, the Second Treaty of Fort Laramie was formed, which secured exclusive Sioux possession of the Black Hills. In 1874, General Custer and his expedition discovered gold in the Black Hills. As Custer reported to the New York Times,
I referred in a former dispatch to the discovery of gold. The miners report they found gold among the roots of the grass.
Custer's report disastrously left out the fact that the Sioux held the legal rights to the land. As the Fort Laramie Treaty was being violated, President Grant offered to buy the Black Hills from the Sioux. Sitting Bull refused, and the Sioux were once again called to relocate to the reservation. The Sioux denied the request, and the Great Sioux War began. Tension between the U.S. and the Sioux escalated, and the Army employed a strategy to force the return of the Sioux to the reservation. General George Custer led the attack, known as the Battle of Little Bighorn, and suffered a severe defeat. The win was only momentary, and within a year, the Sioux Nation was defeated, and the Black Hills were taken by the U.S. without compensation. As shown in this video recorded by the Edison Manufacturing Company, the ghost dance began to appeal to the Sioux as it promised to return to their nomadic lifestyle and the disappearance of the Europeans who had taken their land. By the 1890s, the U.S. government felt threatened by the ghost dance as they believed the dancing ceremony indicated the Lakota intended to start a war. They attempted to arrest its leaders, including Sitting Bull, who refused to cooperate with the U.S. government and was killed while being taken into custody.
There were consequences. There were consequences to the people of Pine Ridge that I think they're still paying for, and there were consequences to the American Indian movement. American Indian movement, the momentum of the American Indian movement was broken there. It was never the same after that.
Modern Sioux today live in the shadow of the genocide of their ancestors. Despite the hardships of life on the reservation, Sioux tribal customs, language, and beliefs live on.
Before the 60s, or before the thing in Wounded Knee, a lot of times people were afraid to be Indian. It was hard to be Indian. But after Wounded Knee 73, you look around and it seems like there was kind of like a cultural resolution, because now you have a lot of people having sweat lodges in their backyards. You have people doing sun dances. people embracing their spirituality. And I think it was all right to be Indian after that, you know.